And we're live.
There it is. There it is. Top of it. Top of it. Hey, welcome back to the Deconflicted Podcast, where we go over perspectives of the three Ds: discernment, decisions, and deconfliction. I'm one half of the host, Antoine Jarvis, and I'm gonna go ahead and let my brother go ahead and introduce himself.
What up, world? It's your boy Brian Boggs here to tell you something you might have heard, you might not have heard. You heard?
Well, what's going on, family? I'm Dr. Benet Love Bailey. Pleasure to be back for the one time, for the second time. I love this topic. I can't get ready to, I'm so excited to dive into it.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Brian and Antoine, for having me today. I'm Ashley Williams, and I too love this time. Um, I love having conversations with my brothers and sisters. I believe that conversations are important for our community. And I'm excited to be here to give my perspective and learn from other people's perspective as well.
I dig it. Hey, Antoine, I think yours is giving some feedback. Are you using Bluetooth or using your speaker? Yep.
Yep, it was you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, it's you, man. Using your speaker, it's causing feedback.
What about now?
There you go.
Yeah. You
Now
just,
we're alive,
I
doing
don't know why
better.
it does that. I don't know
All
why
right,
it
so
does
go ahead,
that.
Mr. Jarvis, if you want to go.
Yes. I just wanted to go into the question we utilized the last time we had this conversation because we got somebody new on here. Ashley, can you give your definition of what a good woman is?
For sure. A good woman, and obviously, I did go back and listen to everyone's perspective. And the beautiful thing about my mind is that it understands everyone's perspective, right? But for myself, a good woman is someone, well, is a woman who isn't trying to force an agenda, um, understands how to come into a situation, whether if it's with a friend, relationship, work environment, and they know how to accept the assignment and then cultivate the environment for the assignment to be completed. However, however that is, and I think that that goes to a woman's nature, which is to nurture and
Mhm.
build. So, I I'll start there.
Okay, I got a question.
Yes.
With your definition, because you said your definition of a good woman is a woman that's not pushing an agenda, nurturing nature. I mean, nurturing and all that good stuff, right? Just want to make sure I heard that right. Okay,
Correct.
so, but if it's a woman's nature to naturally do these things, why does that make her good if it's just making her a woman?
Because honestly, I don't. One would have to agree with the concept of good first. So, for the sake of the conversation, I'm going to keep that as my definition. But what
Okay,
I just explained was what I feel a woman is. I
okay,
don't really subscribe to the concept of good overall. I
got
subscribe to
you.
the concept of good for that situation.
Respect. Appreciate the clear up.
I like that. I think, there's some of that I can sentiment, from the last show. For me, it was the same, like, you do whatever's required, right? You do your duty, especially if we're saying, okay, well, what's a good man? As a good man, we could list those, and if he's protecting and providing by that standpoint, he's a good man, right? So it's like, if you are, and that's him just being a man. So it should be the same of a good woman, in essence, is her being in her natural, right? Which is, you know, in that role.
Gotcha. So, question: if and it's kind of the same, just little twist. if the nature is to be a certain framework of behavior naturally, why does it have to be defined as good if you're doing what you're supposed to do? Like to me, like a student, or a teacher. That's what you are. Now, a good student or a good teacher is a person that's going above and beyond. A good sailor is someone that's going above and beyond. You know what I'm saying? So if you're just doing what you're supposed to do, I don't understand how women define themselves as good if you're just doing what you're supposed to do.
Ashley, you want to go or? No, I was asking you, Ashley, are you going or did you want to answer the question?
Oh, okay. Yes. Why would a woman define herself as good if her nature is supposed to be a certain type of way and all she's doing is meeting those things?
That wasn't exactly what I said. So do you want me to say it again? I'll say it again.
Yes, please.
So if a woman's nature is to be the things you said, then that makes her a woman. Gravy.
Right.
But if you're going to attach the adjective good to it, to me, you should be going above and beyond. Like, good student, good teacher, good sailor, good anything. They're not just what everybody's supposed to be. They are reaching a higher level of performance, a higher standard of who they hold themselves to be. So why do women that are just being women consider themselves to be a good woman if they're just being a woman?
I think that a woman who is doing the things that make her a woman, but still considers herself to be good, probably is assessing the environment around her. So if a woman is supposed to be nurturing, caring, peaceful, help you build prosperity, if she feels that she's coming into a situation and she can see the elevation, whether if it be the children making good grades, the husband getting a promotion, whether if it's as simple as the plants in the garden are flourishing and we're feeding our family, a woman is going to base her, I don't want to use the word worth, she's going to base if she's good or not by the fruit of her labor or the fruit of the labor around her. And I think that that's what she can say, I successfully accomplished my role here.
I feel that's like a subset because not all women have kids, not all women are married. But they still define themselves as a good woman. So I'm trying to get to a more thorough and broad understanding of how that self-determination comes about, and is it rooted in proper term? Is it actualized or is it realized?
Well, I would say, I don't know. We talked last time that good is relative, right?
Right.
So if I can feel that, but is it defined? The definition kind of comes, like she said to me, in the sense of the fruit. Fruit is, okay, well, how does this man feel if we're saying, does he evaluate me or make me feel that or tell me that I'm good? Do I feel that? When I look around, do I see that I built my community or I'm doing, what I would consider good things based on my moral, principles and codes, So I think that to me is like that broader sense. We look for confirmation in others. It's a reflection, right? The others is, okay, what did I do in my community? What did I do with this man? What did I do with this, woman? How am I with my kids, or how am I with my mom, et cetera, et cetera. Fruit doesn't necessarily mean to be, children. It's, your good works as well. Yeah.
I get that. So like, I'll speak for like how I view myself, like I don't look at myself as a good man. I don't look at myself as a bad man. I'm just a man.
Right.
Like the good and the bad is other people's perception of who I am but who
Right.
I think I am is Bryan. So
Yeah.
good and bad is irrelevant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with you on that, Brian. I don't subscribe. I don't go around calling myself a good woman for that very reason. I'm
Mhm.
Yeah,
Ashley, and someone in someone's story, Ashley is the villain, and in someone's
absolutely.
For real.
Ashley,
Say that again for the people in the back.
in
Yeah.
someone's story, Ashley is the villain. In someone else's story, Ashley is the same. It just depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
So,
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
mm.
That's
You
why it's,
know,
relative, like we said. So
yeah,
But so why?
and it is. You know,
I
because
guess
and the reason why the reason why we thought about this topic, because you know, you don't hear it with men as much saying I'm a good man, I'm a good man, but you hear it with a lot of women saying I'm a good woman, I'm a good woman, I'm a good woman. You know what I'm saying? So it's always interesting how that comes about.
well,
Mr. Jarvis.
hold on. Y'all don't say you're a good man, but I am him or I am king or I am so that
yeah,
That's just saying what you are.
right. So
That's like saying you queen or you a
yeah,
princess. Like I'm not tripping off none of that. But when you
yeah,
say
That's not
I'm a
saying
good
you
queen,
good.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Saying you
no,
good.
yeah, I get it, but it, I think it's sometimes it sprinkles down into that, and then it's like, well, I'm a good man. Yeah, not all kings were good, but
Most
that's
kings
why I said
wasn't.
that's why it's like that relative thing in the sense you could think of whatever, think of yourself as whatever, right? And it's like, do you care what the people say or what do the people say? You know what I mean? And that's up to you.
Mr. Jarvis, you've been quiet over there. What about you, sir?
Well, man, I like to. Since we got a new guest on the line, I definitely want to, give a person the opportunity to speak their mind, and I think that the idea, like we said before, it's relative, but I feel that um, everybody has a baseline of what good and bad is, whether it's from our environments that we grew up in, whether it's from, something that was indoctrinated into us. Um, we all have a baseline of what good and bad is.
Mhm.
So when we think about the idea of good and bad, and bad men and good women, my question to women is, do you guys have like a do you guys measure yourselves by, for example, is there like a point system? Is there like, I'm doing this, and this, you know what I mean, to be good to my man, good to my kids, good to myself, good to my community? How do you guys gauge if you guys are on track for being um, your image of what you feel a good woman is? If that makes sense.
Mhm.
do
Go
you want
so,
to take this one?
no, go ahead, sis.
Okay. Um, Not to repeat the point that I was making, but I think it's relevant, because I don't know that women have this list for themselves, because it is we base, if we're performing based off of, like Benet said, the feedback, the 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 confirmation from the people in our lives that we are serving them. So a woman is, our role is servitude. um and I think that that is not the popular word to use today, but a
Mhm.
woman is in service all the time, whether if it's just lending her ear to listen, or your shoulder to lean on and cry on, or to uplift and edify a person. um I think that those are what we're looking for, like Benet said, the fruit, and that solidifies it. But like you said, Antoine, it is relative to how you were brought up, and you and I have this conversation all the time, where you'll give me a perspective about women, blanket statement women, and then I'll say, I don't know these women by name. That's my favorite thing to say. I don't know these women by name. I know the women that I know, we hold each other accountable. We tell each other we're wrong. We apologize. So it's really difficult for me to say or speak for women who aren't of that mindset, if you will.
Yeah. And I'll say for me, as you know, like I said, I would say when I was younger, listening to like the aunties and the grandmas, the friends, and things like that, there were people that had a checklist, so to speak, that you had to look a certain way, had to do these things or what have you, that made you good. But you know, as when you were a child, you thought of a child like a child, right? So I'm a grown woman, so and I understand the difference, right? Of it is the fruit. What are you producing? And I was able to evaluate, from some of the women in my life that were producing really good fruit. And they were, like Ashley said, unpopular because they were submissive, or, they really just sat in their role as a woman, or and it was contrary to some of the other women in my life's feelings about servitude. I ain't got to serve him, and my children come first, all of this whatever attitude, right? And so to see someone else say, I know that's how some of us was brought up, but this is not it. um, I was able to compare the fruit, and her fruit to me, I looked at it and said, that's what I want. So I need to listen to this, because I've seen this down the road. These are the, just to the city girls and, hot girls, summer girls, but that was the fruit of those women. And that's not me. That was never me, so I don't have a point system. My thing is, I like to see the fruit. What did I produce? And if I produced a bad seed, then that's for me to evaluate how could I do better? And it ain't over, right? You could bring a tree back to life, you know what I mean? You can regraft a plant into the tree, right? And give it what it needs. So
You
for me,
can't bring
like
a dead tree back to life.
yeah. Well, no, not the I'm saying the tree has to be living, which is me, right? But
Okay.
have to, the branches I could
I
regraft back.
got you. You can be revitalized.
Yeah, you could revitalize, and even if if it was broke off or lost, I can bring it back to life. But I have to know how to do that, right? I have to know
Right.
how to give it what it what it needed to survive, and it has to be willing to do the same,
Yeah.
So.
My
There you
second
go.
my second question would go into to piggyback off of the first question would be, would do you the women that raised you guys, or the women that were in the environments that you guys grew up in, right, where you were able to pick off of what you felt was the good pieces of how a woman should conduct herself, and left the bad. Would you guys say that generation of women were much more supportive, strong, um, confident, more nurturing than the women of today? And if so, why? Or if not, why?
For me, I wouldn't necessarily say that they were more like our mothers and grandmothers. I wouldn't necessarily classify them as strong. As soon as you said the word strong, that is when I was like, not so much. Nurturing, yes. Supportive, sure. But strong, I think that that word, it is subjective. It depends on that person and what they're going through. I think they had a different set of struggle than we have today as women. And I think that they did the best that they could. But I also think that for my household, my mother didn't have to work, but she chose to. So she was provided the lifestyle where she could or could not work. And with that, she was able to give her all to her children, to her community. She did a lot of volunteer work with the county and children and homeless. And so I was able to see her to me, she was a superwoman. She chose to do real estate on the side, so it was bringing in money. But I was able to see a mother that was at peace. She was, you know, never stressed out. I never really heard her and my father argue. And what I gained from that is my mother would study him. She knew my dad. They very rarely had to talk things out because she knew what was expected of her, and then she would just do them. So the home was always taken care of. The meals were always prepared, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She just had it on clockwork, right? But she was fulfilled because she, once she took care of things at home, had the freedom to go and give all that she had to give. And I believe that's where I'm pulling from. But if my mom grew up in this day and age, in this economy, in this climate, I'm I'm not sure that she would be able to be at rest and at peace because the requirement would have changed.
I think she still would have been, because you got to remember, it's not about the environment; it's about the internal. You know, like you, like the roads that came through concrete. Like you can't hold what's inside because of what's outside.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If that's who she was going to thrive regardless of any generation she was in.
Yeah. No, and I kind of agree with that. I think you know, and some of the women that I speak of, no disrespect to my aunties out there or anything like that, right? You know, I had a lot of good, what I would consider good women that became doctors, that spoke 9 languages and traveled and, you know, things like that. But there were some that I could look at and pick and say, that just didn't fit me. Back to your question, Twan, you know, I was able to kind of look at some of those things. And for my mother, she was an entrepreneur from 12 years old. She used to babysit. She was like a little baby D in essence. She babysit, mow your lawn. She'd rake leaves. She would do whatever to make money. And she ended up having her house built at the age of 18. You know, like she bought land and you know, she was into it, right? And so there were attributes of her, though I didn't have her at home. There were things that I picked up from her of what to do and what not to do. So when I had my daughter, I thought differently about entrepreneurship. I always knew that I was going to do it, but I knew that I missed the value of having a mother at home because there were things that she did not teach me. And if it wasn't for my grandmother, rest in peace, grandmothers, I would not have had the bare basic minimums.
What does
You
that
know,
mean?
and when I say bare basic minimums, in the sense of um, really how to take care of a home, how to clean a home, how to make sure you're on a washing schedule, and you know, things that if I was raised more around predominantly men, then men don't do laundry. They're not as clean. They're not
That's
as
you.
well. No, I'm not saying there's.
See, there
No,
you
hold
go.
on,
Making
hold on.
assumptions.
I'm
You're
saying
making assumptions.
I had listen.
You're
Most,
making assumptions.
hold on, wait. There are some. Hold on. There are some, and
Hold on. You're making assumptions.
hold on. I
Let's
didn't
not
finish
make
my
assumptions.
statement though. I didn't finish. So what I'm
Okay.
saying, majority, you know, it was teenagers. You know, I had older cousins that were teenagers, so and played sports, so had a certain amount of a funk there, right? But then I had some other cousins that were super neat, and you know, was that right, or uncles. So it was a mixture, but it was again the ones that I hung out with. They weren't always fresh, you know, or whatever, right?
So your environment, if you will.
Right, in my environment. And so that's what I'm saying. If it wasn't for my grandmothers, I saw some of the guys, but that was out of, you know, 14, you know, 3, that's the majority, you know, for me. So watching my grandmother say, nope, you're gonna get up, or you're gonna do this, or this is how it should be, that would have been like, okay, you know, I'm not doing nothing wrong, right? I'm a reflection of my environment. So, like I said, there were things that I missed out by not having my mother around as an entrepreneur. And she's super clean. She's super feminine and all of those things, but I didn't get a chance to see that because she was out of the house, by design for her. And it had no reflection on my father. He is, military. So they were both kind of strong, if you will. So that's kind of like how I grew up. So the
I got
women in
you.
my life were able to kind of help me pick and choose and help develop me in a certain way, if that made sense.
I get it, but I just want to speak on what I was saying. There is, you learn from your grandmother,
Yeah.
but your cousins, your peers were funky. But you're
Yeah.
not learning from your peers. You're learning from an elder. Now I can
Yeah.
see if you were saying, yeah, my uncles or my grandfather, or if he lived by himself, if they had filthy houses, that's one thing. But at least from the conversation that I heard is you're not basing them on a because they're not on equal playing field, but you're looking at them as they carry the same amount of weight.
No, no. Meaning and thank
Okay.
you for asking that to clarify. What I
Yeah.
mean is sometimes people can define their upbringing in that way. Well, my uncles or my cousins. Well, if these are my cousins that were like this, what was that? And, could have been a reflection on my auntie who did not care, right? Or what have you. She allowed
Boys are
certain
just funky as kids.
things. Right. Right, but there was definitely some aunties, listen, that had the plastic, that had everything together. It was always smelling good in there. Then we had some aunties that had, five boys, and she just was like, "I'm tired." Okay,
I'm telling you, boys are funky. I'm just telling you. I got a son.
right,
Hey, I was a son.
right. Right. So it's not that I understood the influence, but I know that there are some people that may not have had that type of influence. So they were always with their cousins or, um they weren't around my grandmother as much. And I can see the reflection of that as well. Like,
Right.
okay, this is all they had to pull from. So this is what it's going to be. And that's why I said I'm grateful because I've seen the fruits of not having, the influence on my grandmothers and some of my great grandmothers as well. So
I agree. You got to have a source of information.
yeah,
You're only as good as your information source. You know what I'm
exactly,
saying? If you read
exactly.
the wrong book, you learn you're learning the wrong curriculum.
Yes, and it's getting ready to be Thanksgiving, and one of my cousins, I'm like, girl, who learned you? Like, you came from us. Grammy did not teach us how to make mac and cheese this way. Auntie, how did you allow this to happen? You know what I mean? So it's
I
it's
do get it.
it's just funny sometimes. So yeah, thank you. Shout out to
Ashley,
the Grammys.
Yes.
well, what about you on that?
On the sense of what part?
On the part of where you're getting your information is helping to formulate who you become. 'Cause
Um,
that's basically what I really got out of it.
Yeah.
yeah, that is important. Like you said, so first and foremost, everything that we know is based off of either our experience or our nature. So how we behave and how we carry ourselves is going to be tailored to that.
Hmm.
For someone who had influence, like Benet said, from the elderly women who were traditional in the sense of nurturing, being clean, cooking, taking care of. If you had that as a consistent, I guess, template, naturally you're gonna follow it.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line, it's not that women didn't have that example, because I most women did. If they have an elderly woman in their life, they were raised with some type of tradition. Somewhere along the line, it can fall off. Those things can fall off based off of their experience. So
Mm.
nature only carries you so far, and then life starts happening and it shapes the outcome of how we present. How we
Ooh.
present have absolutely nothing to do with who we really are, but it can be a mask.
I was gonna say people are
It
hell
can be
actors.
a defense mechanism. So we would have to get into that to understand the disconnection that men and women, and I know that's not actually the topic, but I would say that's relative to how we get to defining good and bad women.
Why,
With
why is
being,
that?
yeah, okay.
No, I'm asking. Why is that? Why do you think that?
Oh, because I think it's relative to say, to consider people's experiences. So, if someone was raised a certain type of way and then they get attacked in college, for instance, and now they are fearful of men. Now they've lost trust towards men. Do you think that that woman, even though she was raised to be all the things that a lady is she really going to present a submissive woman to the next man that enters her life, or does she have to does she have to release that trauma? And a lot of
There you go. You hit it
Yeah.
right on the head.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm gonna say this now. I don't want this to come off as insensitive because I'm not insensitive, but I am a realist, and I just speak honestly from my perspective. You know, a lot of women do use the past to formulate how they move forward. They're using hindsight to try to create foresight. It's what it is hindsight still being hindsight. Because instead of being able to identify what put them in the previous situation, they don't do that. They just kill the situation and just keep everything in hindsight. You know,
Yeah.
like if a man gets robbed, gets beat up, he's not going typically, I ain't gonna say all men, but typically, he's not gonna cower and not put himself in a situation to be around other men or worry about, okay, damn, I gotta, this dude, the next time I see me, he's gonna rob me. We're not gonna think like that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take precautions and prepare so when the next time that situation presents itself, we can handle it better.
Mm-hmm.
We're not killing all interaction because of that bad experience. But women have a habit of doing that.
Why do you think that is, Brian?
It doesn't matter the why, it happens. Like your reason is your reason. I'm not saying that you're not justified in doing whatever you want to do. I don't care about your reason. I'm just talking about what you're doing.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think it's important when I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ash.
Oh, I think it's important in these conversations when we're asking, well, why do you consider yourself a good woman? What makes you a good woman? I think the why is important because I would say the answer is nature. A man's nature is not to cower. A man's nature is to protect and figure out a way to overcome a situation. And in a woman's reality, we are protected. We are the protected.
I got you.
So to shy away would be on par with our nature.
Okay. If
And
you're
understanding can lead to an understanding of who that woman is and why she's not performing up to the
okay.
good.
Yeah. Well, are you? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say I follow your reasoning,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna let Benet speak before I say something.
Well, I can say that I've been in a situation, not like that, but similar in the sense that I was um, damaged in a way, right, from my experiences dealing with a male, and every man thereafter, until I got to a place of healing within myself. I was timid, right? I didn't always show up as my authentic self. This time I'm a add on a little more shelter. I'm gonna be a little bit more protected. I'm gonna be a little bit more distant because I'm fearful Because when I love hard. I'm so understanding. You could almost do no wrong in my mind. If I say that I love you, I'm going to find it within myself to try and work out my emotions about it and still move forward, right? But the key aspect, I feel like for me, and where dating has changed for me, even the caliber of men that I'm attracting, is when I did do some of that healing work. I wasn't looking for the man to just save me out of it. I mean, I had to process my emotions and my feelings and really kind of move that energy out of the way, because it was a block in between the men that really did show up and love me. I just was not in a position to receive the love. So once I dealt with my issues, I said, you know what? Okay. If every dude I meet afterwards still, takes from me the love that I give them and does something crazy with it, they needed the love, right? I'm good. I have enough love to give. That's my assignment. That's what I'm supposed to do. So if this is what I'm supposed to do, let me show up authentically. Let me give you all the love that I could possibly give you. And if it is on to the next, hey, I'm a soldier out here. It's not going to change me anymore, right? I'm going to just show up authentically. And there's wisdom with some of that, but I'm still going to show up authentically in myself. And that has changed dramatically the type of men that I've attracted versus before.
That's a higher level of thinking and feeling. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to applaud you for doing that work. Real talk.
Thank you. Thank
You know
you.
what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
like I said, I get the reason, and the women are the protected, but if a woman, all women don't have men, so
Mhm.
she's her own protector, and when you find yourself in situations, I just feel like, and like I said, I'm glad that you did your healing and you were able to open yourself up to, like, okay, you know what? Instead of me being a victim,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see it. I appreciate whatever we had, and then I'm gonna move on. Like, okay, cool. You got that from me. You needed more than I did. You know what? You can have that,
Yeah.
homie. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm gonna keep pushing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a great approach. Great
Yeah.
approach. You know
Because
what I'm saying?
then from there, it's like when you accept that part of it, now you can see the fruit, right? You can see that if you spoke life or you gave life to this person, and they became the biggest rap star out there because you told them, hey, you need to enunciate, or whatever the case may be. I'm still a good woman, because you know what, I can see my signature on everything that you do now, right? Or
Absolutely.
your kids are at another level because I helped them get to this next level, and told you that it's important that they go to college, and now they're in Hampton or whatever they're doing and thriving. That's the like deposit that I get, or the confirmation that I get, and it drives me to want to do more. I'm more like, okay, well, I'm not looking, are you my husband every time I meet you? It's, how can I serve you, right? What can I bring? The Lord will let me know, right? And we'll know. But it's not that I have, like Ashley said in the beginning, that I have some other agenda attached to it. I'm showing up as my pure self, and whatever you need from me, I'm going to give it. And reciprocity will be great, but it's not necessarily required.
Yeah.
Mm.
And speaking on that service point,
Yes, sis.
men are of service as well. Like we're, every human on this planet is supposed to be of service. Nobody's supposed to be solely a taker.
Right, exactly. Right.
We're all supposed to be givers. We're all supposed to serve.
Yeah.
So that's how we make this thing go round.
Yeah.
That's a good perspective on um our mission here, if you will, or our duty here, if you will. Like that's something I've been trying to wrap around my head myself. That all of us are supposed to be givers. All of us are supposed to contribute to the big picture, which is the whole for all of us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's not one person that's bigger than the program, if you will. And I think that's the challenge for a lot of us because we're in a society to where, you know, as men we have to be competitive, right? That's just our reality. We have to be competitive. And so, and the reason why I say we have to be competitive is because if we want certain things in life, the more competitive we are, there's fruits that come from that competitiveness. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Um, Now, my question, my question to the ladies is, what type of habits or feedback or resources could be utilized to show other people, right? To show other people who are listening a way of being a better version of themselves that you guys were exposed to, if you will.
Okay,
Does that make
so for
sense?
myself, yeah, perfect sense. You said you kind of opened the question up to how people could be improved, but I'm gonna tailor it to women for a second. Excuse me. Accept the feedback, right? Take what's for you and spit out the bones. What's the saying? Eat the fish and spit out the bones, or eat the
Yeah.
meat. Bones. We have to, as when we have to learn how to do that. Okay. One of the most important things that you can do as a woman for self improvement is, first of all, like Benet said, heal thyself. You have to take a step back. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And if you know that you've had experiences that have robbed you of your essence as a woman, it's time for you to take a step back. It's time for you to go seek the counseling. It's time for you to get back in your Bible, if that's what your faith base is, or whatever it is. It's time for you to learn how to meditate. And it's time
Do
for you to
something.
accept what you did wrong.
Yes.
Why are you so triggered when someone is telling you that you're wrong? That's the first thing that you have to assess about yourself.
Woo.
What is it about this information that is bothering me? Because
Mm.
when someone tells you something that is not true, it's not going to affect you. If you
Mhm.
said to me that I'm dumb or I'm worthless, or I wouldn't be offended by that because I know that not to be true.
Mhm.
So if you tell me something about myself and it happens to be true, that's probably the reason why I'm getting mad. And
Mhm.
if that is the case, then do the work, figure out why that is. Why is it that you're upset?
Yes, sis, I definitely agree. Uh, for me, that's what it was. My last relationship, I asked him, this was, I've been in long term relationships 10 years, and the second one was, almost 7 years. So I've always saw myself as a wife. So my intention, right, was to be a wife, right? Not knowing um how to become a wife. I just thought by definition of female that I'm worthy to be wifed up, if that makes sense. There were certain things that I did in both relationships that I cringe at now, but again, I just didn't know how to apply some of the lessons that I learned. So for me now, it's I had to ask him the hard question, right? Why didn't it work? And there were some things that I agreed with, and then there were some things that were not, and one of the things was that I was selfish. And it's like, well, if you can ask anybody else, right, other than you, I'm not selfish, right? And therein lies the problem, right? I was doing things for others and, showing up in those ways, but I wasn't showing up like that for him. So for him to tell me that I was selfish, that is how he was experiencing me. And then I had to think about in my previous relationship at times that I was selfish even with him. Um, so I had to go and say, okay, not only on this list of stuff that I could see, the things that I didn't agree with, which I now know to be the truth, right? That's why I do like sometimes hindsight, because if you're living in truth, you can see the truth. If you're not, then you just kind of like, well, that's just what I did, right? But I'm able to see that I was selfish, and there are things that I needed to change, and I didn't know how to do that. My grandmothers were no longer living. I couldn't go ask them those questions on how they made this transition. So I turned to my faith, and God was or is my first marriage, because I've never been married. So I have to live my life accordingly and submit myself to what, for me, a Christian, what the Bible says that I should be as a woman. And once I become that, that's when you find the wife. Right now I can say that I'm a wife because I'll know how to treat you, because this is what the book says. So if it makes sense, like, the principles and the things that I stand for, this is how I'm going to treat you, right? And this is the reciprocity I know that will come. um if I'm taking care of that man, I know he's going to taking care of me. Like, I don't even have to worry about me. So there is no need for me to be selfish, if that makes sense. So for me, I would tell people to go into their faith, and it'll guide you into that right. And it, like you said, sis, earlier, it's not going to be popular, but it is, at least for me, truthful and the way to go.
I could dig that. I could go ahead, Tom.
I was just gonna say, is there a way that we can get a little bit more in detailed in what type of what type of things to do? Like, Benet, you brought up the scriptures, right? The
Hmm.
Bible as your baseline of how to conduct yourself.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say would be either some scriptures for women or habits that you learned from those scriptures that women can utilize to be better versions of themselves?
I'll say, at least for me, the number one is love. The commandment that says, the greatest of all these things are love, right? There's no master above its servant, and no servant above its master, right? That there's always going to be servitude. There's always going to be forgiveness. You're going to have to forgive that man 777 times 777, right? Doesn't mean you have to be with him,
Right.
but you have to forgive him, right? And there's a scripture even in that in regards to marriage. It's, if you are single, your devotion is to God, right? And if you come across a man that that you can't help yourself, meaning you're having sex with, or you're feeling drawn to do what is considered a sin, you should get married, right? So that that will be blessed. So there's things that I've changed in my life, right, that help me conduct myself, right? So, and what that looks like in dating terms, and I know that's, we can go into another subject about this, but men are very, can be at times sex forward, and women are not, just because we're offered it 1,000 times a day. Um, and so I can understand that, but if he's not chasing after God, at least at this point, he has no vision for his life. He's disconnected. And so how can I get into a program if you're not connected to your source or your protector, your provider? How can you do that for me? Does that make sense? And so I can give you the word in the scriptures. I'm not saying I'm not going to date you because of that, but that has to become a very important part of your life in order for me to align with it, if that makes sense. Those are just a few for me.
What about you, Ash?
I would say, as a woman, understanding the power that you have and utilizing it appropriately. Um, I feel that a lot of times women can feel that being loud is the way to be heard, or understood. Being loud is the way to be understood. And there's a lot of power in being silent and sitting with yourself, um, assessing situations and understanding and accepting that someone may not be on your level of understanding and you may not be on their level of understanding, but finding peace in that to
Mm-hmm.
conflict. So I think, as a woman, just saying to yourself, this is my strength, my power, and not allowing anyone to have power over you,
Mm-hmm.
unless if you want them to. And
Mm-hmm.
so in doing that, you have to know that if I give you the power to control the way that I move, right? So if you have done something to me that I deem wrong, and now I allow that to control the way that I move forward, I have allowed you to take my power. Okay. Now that may look like never trusting, going through a man's cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
being argumentative, refusing to serve. That is what that looks like. And understanding that what you have done is you have disrupted your nature, in response to something that someone did that was outside of your control.
Mm-hmm.
Control yourself. So when you understand that you control yourself and yourself only, how much power have you pulled back into yourself? And so now I can say, you know what, that did happen to me. That was an experience, but that is not a defining moment. And
Right.
get back on track and be present with the person that I'm with, my family, my
Mm-hmm.
my coworkers, my spouse, my mate. I can study all of them, and now I can give what they need instead of being blocked by my experiences and limiting what I'm able to give. Now I have
Mm-hmm.
stunted who I am as a woman, good, bad, or indifferent. My job is to show up and be the woman that the people in my life need. And
Right.
so that's that's what I would just say for a tool, the tools.
And I would like to piggyback on that too, just one more time for the one time, is I would just like to remind the women we are the help meets. So it's unpopular, but we do whatever's required. We can apply that in a lot of different ways, but when it comes down to our role in this man woman thing, sometimes we have a challenge with that. You do whatever's required in this situation for that man, not what you did with the last man, but for this man. Do you do whatever's required in the situation, right? And why? Because he's your protector and your provider. Is he doing that, right? Does he have a goal and a vision for you and your family and all of that? Yes. So you do whatever it is required. You stepped into this situation in an agreement. So you can't renege on the agreement and not show up how you're supposed to show up and do whatever's required. And we are wired that way. That's why we do it. That's why we are the sister, the mom, the auntie, the cousin, the friend, the doctor, the lawyer, the dentist, the preacher. We are all of those things. Yes, we are tired, but we are built to do this. And so that's an additional scripture to realize we are a helpmeet. We are taken out of Adam, if you believe, to help him, right? We are flesh of his flesh. So why are you fighting? What is the resistance about? Are you
Facts.
fear are you scared that
That
this one is not going, take care of
it's
you?
always fear.
Right. So it's just that. And it's like, okay, sis, what are you afraid of? Do you need to go back and heal thyself? Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that. Those are some key indicators. And if you can't get with the fact that you are a help me, then, I you can't say that you're helping your children become better. You can't say that you're helping your friends become better without really clarifying and redefining you are a helpmeet. Like that's exactly what you're doing and you can't get away from it. So stop resisting. Help.
Hey, and on that healing part, you know, it's Don Tripp, he got a line in one of his songs where it's basically something like, but it's just real true. Is you can never fully heal if you keep picking at all your scars.
Whew.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the problems that I see with people. You know, is they when something happens to them, they keep picking at it. They keep getting reminded of it. They gotta touch it again, relive how it felt, or something dumb.
Yeah.
And they never allow themselves to heal.
Right. So then if you don't allow yourself to heal, then it's like that's the same thing. You're not allowing yourself to love, or you don't believe that you're worth being forgiven 777 times 777. You don't believe that you deserve grace. You don't believe that you deserve mercy. You don't believe that the person that you offended, that hurt, that you hurt could ever really forgive you. It's like it's a prison. That's a hell to me. And I want to set people free. If you come across my path, I don't care what you've done to me in the past. I love you and I forgive you. It's all good. Like you don't owe me nothing. Set yourself free. You know what I mean?
That's
And
another topic right there.
you're right.
Like, because you know what women got that ownership problem.
Yeah, we do too, but sometimes men do too. Sometimes men get caught up in, this last one hurt me or this last one took advantage of me. So when I meet, the good, what I would normally define as the good one, I'm asking her to go Dutch on dinner. I'm taking her to a subpar place that I didn't take, and no disrespect to the Kamikas, but the city girl or something like that. I took her to that place, but I meet this woman and I put her through a different type of rigmarole. That is a topic. There's some healing that needs to happen on that end too. So,
why does that always happen?
what do you mean? Why does that happen? What the compare?
Yeah, why do we always have to do a comparison? If a statement is made, why does the statement have to be compared on the other side all the time? I'm just curious.
Well, because at the end of my statement, you made a comparison based on my comparison, so I had to have a rebuttal. Like
I got you.
I mean, that's
why.
Yeah, it was more of a rebuttal from your rebuttal.
Okay.
But it doesn't, and that's another thing too. Hold on, sis. I do agree with that. There are times that I have had to just simply take that and say, okay, and process that and let it sit. So, sis,
that happens a lot. Not just with you. I'm just talking about like just a lot of times like in my life, in my entire life of talking to women, the first thing they want, well, you like what is I'm talking about you right now? Like what does me got to do with this?
There are times we got to sit and simmer in it and come back another day. Go ahead, sis.
No, I was just saying, and vice versa. The brain.
Oh, I agree. I'm a firm believer. If a person talks about me, I'm not going to talk about you. You talk about me, I'm like, okay, I got to do better. I need to do this better.
Because you are absolutely onto something, and it's not just one way, right? It's both ways. But why is it that the moment that you want to bring up, this is something that bothers me, this is the discrepancy that I have, why does it have to be like, well, last week you did this? And it's just, to me, it's like, well, why didn't we address it last week when it was a problem when I did it? And
that
now it's a problem. Yeah. Now it's a problem.
Well, but sometimes it gets not to the defense of whoever, and this can be either side. Sometimes because you might have been willing to let it go, and since the other person wanted to make a problem about it, then you might want to illuminate. Look, well, the only reason why I'm saying something is because since you want to say something, I'm trying to let you know is you exhibit the same behavior. Right. So don't complain about me when you're doing the same thing.
Right.
Hold on. So was that just an answer to your rebuttal about why does it got to be tit for tat?
Wrong. No, it was not an answer to my rebuttal. It wasn't. I can give you context if you need it. You know what I'm saying?
No,
but it wasn't.
I'll be playing. I'll be playing.
I know you be playing. Yeah, and there was something else that was said earlier, and this is a little off topic, and a little on topic. Because again, the topic is, why? How do women know if they're good women? And it's all relative based.
Mhm.
And so I forget who said it, but it was something was spoken on uh, whether or not you receive an insult, or it was something about an insult, and then it clicked a thought in my head, and I was and because when I was walking earlier today, it came to my mind, and I had a conversation with myself about it. I talk to myself a lot, so
Was it why when I said just receive the feedback and
yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah,
why-
exactly. That's
Yeah.
what it was. So I was like, and it's interesting how, as humans, when we receive information from others, we can take it as an insult or a compliment.
Mhm.
And it can be the exact same
Hmm.
message. So it got me to thinking, like, people need to do a better job at defining what it is that they are allowing to insult them or compliment them.
come on, Brian.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
I
saying?
think. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to touch on that, but go
Yeah,
finish your
yeah,
statement
because
because that's a whole different.
insults and compliments are relative. I mean, but the thing is, you control whether or not you're insulted or complimented. Like they're just words. It's the way you're processing and reacting is determining what the outcome from those words are. And it's like people forget that no matter if a person did insult you and it was blatantly insult, you ain't got to take the insult. You be like, all right, thank you for the information, appreciate you. You know what I'm saying?
I like to say in instances like that, I like to say that is your experience of me and not my reality. And that's only if I feel like giving it words, because sometimes you just take it, nod your head, and keep going. But then if I want to give it words, is that is your experience. And thank you for sharing that with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm, that's a powerful concept right there. And I think a lot of us, a lot of us struggle with that. A lot of us will say, we're doing the work, and that's why I asked earlier, what does the work look like? What does the habits look like, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of us will live this pretend reality that we're really working on ourselves just
Mhm.
to be able to say that I'm doing the work. I'm doing the
Right,
habits.
right,
You
right,
understand what
right.
I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
Facts.
like we'll be out here pretending like we are really putting in the work, right? We're really doing the homework. We're really taking the quizzes and the life's test, and we're really learning from them. But we really don't want to. So a lot of us, and then that we pretend for so long, what that causes you to what for some people it causes you to think that, okay, now I'm a sensei,
Mhm.
right? Now I'm a teacher at this. I really got this. Let me give you some feedback, or let me give you some game. In reality, I never asked for your feedback or your game. So when I
Ah.
nod my head and I don't accept it, or I don't receive it the way you thought I was going to, or the way you thought I wanted to. Now I'm the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Because you pretended for so long that you are the guru, that you are the sensei. In all actuality, you have so much work you got to do within yourself, right?
Facts.
Mhm.
And now, and I'm gonna piggyback off what you guys were saying earlier. Now, the things that I do are now problems for you. But if we really look at it, this is some things that you were doing.
Woo.
I think finesse two times said it best. It's cool when y'all do it, but it's a problem when I do it,
Mhm.
Facts.
right? And I think that a lot of us gotta break. And I can only speak for my interactions with women. I've seen this with women do these type of things. I can't speak on the opposite side of men doing this, but I've seen women do this a lot, and they get to thinking that um, their nurturing side requires them to be um, the the sensei. Well, take this information I'm about to give you right here, man, because this is some game. And then you sit back. I know me personally, I'll sit back and I'm like, okay, well, I hear what's being said, but sometimes if I say something, it's just to vent. It's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily meaning that I need somebody to solve my problems for me. Sometimes it's just thinking out loud. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I say all that to say because again, dealing with good women and things of that nature. I think if women can create the habit of being able to discern when their advice is needed and when it's not, that'd help from look like it would help the environment from looking like the person that they're dealing with don't have the tools necessary to figure it out. Because when you go back to the help me concept, right, and you talk about the rib of Adam,
Mm-hmm.
um, how I look at that is Eve was to submit completely to Adam because
Mm-hmm.
she came from him. Submission in my perspective is you're going to pedestalize that person that you're submitting to. When you submit to God, God's on that pedestal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of women have a challenge with pedestalizing the person that they're supposed to be submitting to, which can
Mm-hmm.
cause different challenges within relationships from the man you're dating, from understanding your role at work, from understanding your role as a parent. I think that a lot of those challenges could be created from not really knowing how to channel, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
the information that you're trying to, put on the information highway, if you will. If that makes sense.
I mean, and it does. And I'll say again, my younger self, I didn't know how to channel my feminine essence, right? I didn't know how to
Hmm.
spray my feminine essence in the air and it be a nice aroma. And you ask me,
Right.
ooh, what's that? You know what I'm saying?
What are
Right.
we
Right?
Right.
talking?
Right.
Yeah.
What is that smell?
Right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know exactly what you
right. You
mean.
know,
I'm
right?
gonna write that down.
Right. I didn't know how to do that. And so some things came off like that because I am a helpmeet. So I have a certain amount of vision in your vision, right? I can see how to I'm the one that's going to bring into the world your babies, right? So there's a certain amount of birthing process that I can see, right? If this is your goal, right? So I used to like try to direct that and be like, I'm trying to tell you, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. And one of my
Mm.
exes used to say to me, "Do you want to be right, or do you want this relationship, right?" And I'm like, "Well, the rightness will fix the problems in our relationship if you just would, right?" And so it was like I didn't understand that I was trying to make him submit to me
Right.
and I was bringing a masculine energy, and we both have both, right? But when you really understand that, okay, you are flesh of his flesh. Okay, be the essence, right? That's really what flesh of my flesh means, is you are the essence of me. Okay, so now, and I may make a suggestion, or I may say, hey honey, can I talk to you? I was thinking about this and that, and these are just my thoughts. What do you think? Right? My tone is different. I'm asking for permission. I want to talk to you about this. And pause, right? If he said, I don't want to talk about it, not right
Hmm.
now, I can get mad, right? Because again, there's a thousand ways to get to somewhere, right? So he may be working out in his mind the plan. My plan ain't the only plan, right? And I get to watch manifestation happen. I get to watch the God power in him to figure it out, right? Why? Because I trust him, right? I know that he's submitted to God and God is going to show him and give him a direction. So that will just be more confirmation on my end if he never heard a word that I said, right? But then there are times where I'll say that, like, and he says, yes, okay, what are your thoughts? And I'll give my thoughts, and I have zero expectation that he is going to follow them. He may say that was a good point or something I wasn't thinking of, good looking. That's the help me part, right?
Absolutely.
Now, it and that's when we do it. But you have to me, that's more of a sign that I don't trust you. And there were times I didn't trust that particular ex to do certain things because it was like, this is simple. Just because we got the vision and we can see the answer to it, let him figure it out. If he comes to you and says, man, I don't know what to do, this has been bothering me, do you have like, then let it be, sis. Or like I said, if you feel like you need to say something, ask and say, this is what I'm thinking, what are your thoughts? Don't tell him or direct him, because he's not going to listen to your direction. That's not the design, like, if that makes sense, right?
No,
You
no,
We're
you're
that's
meant
not
you hit
wired
it on
that
the
way. If you
head. You hit it on the
yeah,
head, like hammer, nail, bow in the wood.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we're not wired that way to receive, um, that way. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Since we're little, we play games where there's structure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
From dodgeball, there's a hierarchy. There's a team captain. You know, when we play football, basketball. You know, a lot of the games that we play as young men, there's a hierarchy. Even in
Mm-hmm.
even in the corporate world, there's a hierarchy, and we kind of fall in line with that hierarchy. And we figure out, okay, cool, where do I fit in that hierarchy? Whereas
Mm-hmm.
with women, it's not so much the same. Women play games where it's not so competitive. You know, it's women typically play games where it's not a hierarchy. Everybody's kind of equal, if you will. You know, double
Mm-hmm.
dutch, jump rope, um,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature growing up. So as young men, as we get older and we become men, and we understand, well, shit, our whole life has consisted of us making the decisions for ourselves to figure out. I like when you said, may I suggest something? You know what I mean? I think that's what you said earlier when you was like, may I
Yeah.
suggest something, or may I offer some advice? You know, what I mean, something to that nature that you offered. And I think when women can get to the space to where they understand, because again, it's easy to use buzzwords like, help me, but what does a help me look like? What does a help me
Mm-hmm.
do? You know what I'm saying? How do I become the best help me out there, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that when we create the space to where we are actually expressing, if you will, what these things look like, so that way we can actually get the most out of a person, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
where we can get the most growth in our relationships that we have with each other. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I'm talking about, the relationship between men and women. Um, but I think that right there in itself, if women can get behind the idea of being a helpmeet, because obviously, if you're with me, there's things about me that you find valuable, right? Um, and you have to understand me as a man. I've been doing things for a certain period of time on my own, figuring things out. Not to say that
Exactly.
I don't
You
want
met
you
me at a certain
involved.
level. I
Yeah, 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 yeah. And
didn't
it's
get here on
good.
mistake.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly. And we also gotta, and also women gotta understand, um, that, and this is the struggle for some women I see, right? Is the pretend feminine energy, right? The pretend femininity. They pretend like they feminine because they're seeing, okay, well, when I look at this TV show, you're supposed to have the loud makeup on. You're supposed to wear this type of dress. It's a pretend femininity.
All right.
Oh man, he was getting
Yeah,
good there. Come
yeah,
on, Brian,
he went.
piggyback on it.
I can piggyback on it, but I disagree though. That's the thing. I
Okay.
want him to complete, but I'll stick because like on the I don't think femininity is pretend ever. I just think they just don't know how to properly express it. You know,
Mm,
because you can only do what you've been learned to do.
right.
You know, like if and based upon what you value, 'cause everybody has a value system.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody values different things. So depending on the outcome you want determines the equation that you create of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I wanted to go back on something you said uh, about because I wanted to bring it back to about a bit. Oh, studying. So to me, because like because again, the topic is a good woman. from a man's perspective, like when we talked last time, you said it's better for a man to define a good woman than a woman to define a good woman.
Right.
And I agree with that assessment. And I was gonna say, like, to me,
Yeah.
studying your man will make you a good woman. Studying your man, studying your environment, studying. You know, it's just like the way you become a good student is by studying. The way you
Yeah.
become a good teacher by studying. The way you become a good lawyer is by studying.
Can
That's
I
how
say
you become. That's how you become good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
topic? And I know that was towards Benet, but I really want to speak on this
Yeah. Go ahead, Ash.
because I've been wanting to say this one thing, and it was what you just said about studying your man.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I like to simplify it is your partner is the one that sets the temperature. They are the temperature. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or when your man wakes up in the morning, however he wakes up, that is the tone. And so
Right.
job as a woman is to know the assignment. You know your man, you know where he needs to be balanced, and your job is to adjust the temperature. So you're the thermostat. He
Right.
wherever he is, whatever space he's in, that's where we are. And now it's my job to adjust it to where I know that he's comfortable and where my home is going to be at peace and comfortable. I really want
Mm-hmm.
that one.
I feel you
And
there.
and you're right about that, sis. And that's what I mean by you do whatever is required, right? Um, if you know that, let's say you guys were going through a little tiff or whatever, or he got some, sorry, I got this fly in here. I got the windows open. And so I don't know why, but listen, I'm a realist. I ain't gonna act, cute and I got a fly on my forehead. No, okay. I'm real about it. But um is if you know that he got an important job, right? Don't hit him with the we got to talk text, or before he goes off to work, we got some stuff to talk about when you get home. That's on his mind all day, and
Yeah.
he's not even in the present, right? And so it's like those are some things. Why why not change, like you said, sis, the temperature? You know that he has a really important job to do, or he has a job to do in order to protect and provide for you. So even if he woke up in a pissy mood because he's tired and he don't want to go do that, what do you need to do to get him in the headspace and the energy space to send him out that door where his shoulders are back and he's relaxed and he's ready to go do what he's supposed to do for the family and the woman that he has at home, right? Like that's the part of the studying. And this is why I say that the reciprocity, we don't have to hold on to that so much and evaluate, well, you got to do this for me right then and there. If you are serving this person, that person is going to love, like, can't wait to buy you the
But
Birkin bag, this, so you ain't
yep.
got to demand the Birkin bag up front, right? Because you've done these things, and if you ask for them, or he may say, what do you want for your birthday? You could tell him, and he may say, all right, that I have an idea now of what to do for you, but continue to do what you're supposed to do. And sis, you might get two bags. You don't know what that man's saving for or what he's doing. So we got to let loose of that grip
Mhm.
on that, if that makes sense. Just study, because he's gonna study you. He knows
Fact.
your style. He gonna show you some stuff and say, baby, I picked out this dress, and you like, dang, okay, I can't wait to put this on. Oh, you got the shoes too, or like, we back to your point, Brian. There are a lot of men that are very stylish, ladies, that they can put. If you ask the man to dress you,
Yeah.
he will have you all the way together, right? Like all the way together, So it seems like we got to just learn to kind of let that go. If we're serving these men, and going back to my point, or Ashley's point, is we got to be able to be that temperature. We got to know when it's not time for us to give our advice. We got to just know that, what, let me go ahead and spritz some feminine essence in the air, and let me go ahead and create an atmosphere. Let me rub his head, let him say, just kiss him, say I love you and walk out the room, and he may be in his man cave for 3 hours. It is no reflection on you. He's working it out. You know what I mean? And you got
Yeah.
to just have that comfortability to know that feminine essence, that's standing in your feminine power.
And may I build on the feminine power, please? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's really important to know how to come into the situation, right?
Mm.
And I learned this from the great Miss April Mason. Okay. Anyone know
Yeah.
Mason? You know, I got this straight from her.
Mm-hmm.
Have to learn when to operate in your queen and in your princess energy. And what
Mm.
I tell you is that the queen, she sits supreme next to her king. She is ruler, and for all intents and purposes, she can put someone to death with one word. Okay, but she is given that authority. She moves and she operates, and people do her bidding for her, right? So
Mhm.
queen energy looks like when your man is going through something, and you know that he has a vision, and you see that he's not sticking to it, and you can come in there and be like, baby, you've got this, we've got this, this is what I'm going to do for you. I know this is what you like, I know this is what you need, we're going to move, we're going to get this done. Okay, period. It's the time to come in there with that type of energy. And he needed that. He needed to pull from your strength. He needed to
Mhm.
pull from that. And that's the time for that. But then, like Antoine pointed out, there are times where that energy isn't needed or even welcome, and you then step into your princess, where it's, more subtle. Like, baby, I really love when you do this for me. I really love that. Thank you so much. When you pick
Mhm.
up that dress for me, I love that so much. And
Thank you.
form of encouraging. That's a different form of encouragement. Instead of you being like, this is what we're going to do, baby, it's, can you do this for me? I really need you. I really need you to do this for me. I really need this. And I really appreciate when you do this for me. And you get the same result, but with different energy.
I feel you. I want to say something here, and this is again, this is from my perspective, based upon the people I've experienced in my life. But a lot of women, 51% or better, struggle with the concept of gratitude when it comes to a man.
Mm. Mhm. Um, when you're saying that giving gratitude,
Yeah, expressing gratitude.
Expressing it.
oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I think
I'm not saying that she's not. She might be gracious and grateful in her heart, but she's not expressing it. So the
yeah,
man is starting to see it as like, damn, like I can't do it. What else should this person want?
Yep.
You know.
yeah. Right, 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 right.
Can you guys
And,
100%.
hear
and
me?
Yep.
yeah,
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about
yeah.
that. My battery
No,
died.
and I do agree, and that's a part of, again, if that's what unhealed looks like to me, because you were raised, if somebody did something nice for you, you say thank you, right? You know what I mean? And this
Thank
man
you
is,
ain't gratitude though.
but I know that, but that is a beginning stage of, for a lot of, when we're talking about 51 percenters, that's your your you know what
Fifty-one
I mean?
percenters.
Right? Of,
That's funny.
you know, like real shit. Even if you're going to, like, going through the grocery store or through the drive-through, you may receive a female that's taking your order and that takes your money. You may extend a thank you to you, but she not gonna say nothing. She slam the door in your face and, like, keep moving, right? So sometimes we have to start with the bare, when I say bare basics, we were taught to say please and thank you. And so why does that stop when it comes down to, if a man does anything, if he holds the door, a stranger holds the door for you, you just walk on in and don't even say nothing, right? No, you say thank you. Right? So I feel like there's levels to it, obviously, but we can at least start saying thank you.
I mean, but see here, because I'm gonna go back again. This is from my perspective. My
Yeah,
we were raised to say please and thank you, but that's for manners, courtesy.
yeah,
That's not
yes,
Hmm.
gratitude.
Hmm.
yes, but
You know what I'm saying? That's
right,
not
but
being
but,
grateful.
but what
That's
I'm
being courteous.
That is, but then, some people have to have a basis point of where that looks like you're courteous.
We need to
Why?
raise the starting point.
I,
Right.
I
But what I'm saying is it's the why though. Why are we showing good manners? It's because someone did something for us, right? And what we should be expressing is gratitude, right? There should be, okay, you did something for me and I'm thankful. If I got two bags of groceries and I'm trying to figure out how to open my door to my apartment complex to even get in it, and somebody does something for me, I should be grateful. Why? Because I could have had to put my stuff down and do it a more difficult way. Somebody made it easier for me. So that's what I mean. That there's layers to that, if that makes sense.
I hear what you're saying, and I guess see me, I'm kind of a hard person. I like things to move a little faster.
Yeah.
Evolution is too slow. You know what I'm saying? Let's move this along. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I feel like the starting place, if you want to express gratitude, is reciprocity.
True. True. True.
You
True.
know what I'm saying? That's the starting place.
True. But there is also, when you say that, um men aren't necessarily, like, let's say you want your woman to be kind, right? Men don't always express kindness, right? So we got to get
It's
past the
reciprocity. It ain't gotta be the exact same. It could just be something.
exactly, I was getting ready to say
Okay.
is reciprocity is doesn't mean same, right?
Right.
It means I'm filling the cup for the person in the manner in which they need me to fill their cup, and then
Absolutely.
they are filling my cup in the manner I need them to do it. And so
Right.
that's why I said that reciprocity is not required in the sense of it being the same, but that's not it.
Right.
Reciprocity is taking care of the person in the manner in which they need to be taken care of. And a great place to start, as a tool that Antoine would say, is the five love languages. If you can understand the five love languages, you should be able to start to study another person and understand how they like to receive love, and fulfill their cup in that way. And if they've studied that, they will be able to recognize, or if you guys tell each other, hey, I'm a we're acts of service person, that's me. I i don't need you to tell me anything. That's the bottom of my list. I need you to do something. And
Right.
so that's comes in, knowing yourself and you studying your partner. You should be able to know that. So that's why the reciprocity is going to not be the same, and or the same. And we got to get away of that equal word, right? Same or equal. It's not going to be equal. If
Evil
this
doesn't
man is
exist.
if this man is protecting and providing for you, that's not going to be equal to what you're doing. It's going to be what is required to keep that thing going, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, hey, Twan, you were going somewhere when you dropped out. We'll give you the opportunity to continue that if you remember your train of thought.
Oh yeah, my train of thought was just the idea of the challenges that people encounter when um, not knowing where to find resources, not knowing how to equip themselves with the tools needed to be the best version of themselves in regards to, um, like we said before, help meets and things of that nature. And that's why I really wanted to just touch on just the idea of how important it is to be descriptive when we describe um, certain things that we offer, because obviously in deconflicted we're not here to tell people what to do or say that this is the only way of doing things, but just to shine light on different perspectives that people can utilize in their day-to-day activities to say, okay, I was doing things this way. Oh man, if I do it this way, these are the type of results I didn't even know. I didn't even know about that. Now I do. Let me see if I can change things up to get different results, instead of doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Um, so I was just touching on that real quick, man, and just pointing out how I've noticed a lot of people today are, um, and I don't know how much you guys heard when I was saying this, are fake pretending to be. Um,
The femininity.
Mm-hmm.
the femininity, there you go, that fake femininity. I think a lot of women have a lot of women have missed the idea of how subtle femininity is, right? It's not loud. Um, it's not obnoxious. It's very, very subtle. I think Benet said it best when she said, um, it's like and I'm paraphrasing how you said it. It was so smooth and so clear how you said it earlier, but you said something
Oh, with
about the
the essence.
smell. Yeah, like when I walk by, there's that you can smell or something like that. The essence of my femininity, like that
The
is
fragrance of my femininity.
it.
Yeah.
Bingo. That is exactly how subtle femininity is. You know what I mean? And I think um, if we can get back to the space, and again, I get it because women are being bombarded with every day. You know, men want to be women, so this is how you're supposed to dress. You know, the makeup industry is saying, hey, this is what you're supposed to wear. The fashion industry is saying, this is what this is how you're supposed to dress. You guys are constantly being bombarded with uh, overstimulation, right? And I think that that's what can cause the delusion of, well, this is how I'm supposed to be as a woman. This is how I'm supposed to conduct myself as a woman. In all actuality, it's not really femininity that men are encountering from these women. It's just um, women putting a wig on a pig and calling it femininity, when all in all actuality, it's a version of their masculine energy that's pouring
Hmm.
through, but they don't even know it's that's the case, right? So that's why I try to say, okay, well, as women, like what are the practices that women should have to exercise their femininity? What are ways of that a healed woman, right, can express her femininity going into relationships, going into the world? How is that essence of? I think that's my question: is how is the essence of femininity being expressed? If that makes sense.
Go ahead,
Yeah, and I'm
Antoine.
just so
I
you know, I'm glad you came back and finished your train of thought, because where you were going when you dropped out, I thought for sure I was going to disagree with you. But I'm glad you finished that, because I now I see where you were going, and I must concur. I just wanted to share that with you.
No,
um
it's all good, brother.
Benet, for me, Benet said it best when she said, "You, as in your feminine, you give with no expectation. You love with no expectation. If you are
Mm,
operating in your nature, nature doesn't expect anything back. It just does what it's designed to do." And I think that, like, I think it was Benet that said, if someone opens the door for you, the common thing to do is say thank you, because that person didn't have to do it. And so if we stop with the expectation that men should certain things for us, that would give to the gratitude that's missing. That would help bridge the gap with some of the disconnect that we're having as men and women. And it starts with a simple, I'm grateful because you did not owe this to me. Um,
Mhm.
and secondly, I wanted to talk on, you all were discussing love languages. I wanted to say there's a lot of conflict based around how we are treating each other, because
Mhm.
we're treating people the way that we want to be treated. And I think
Mhm.
something we're always told is like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And
mm,
I disagree, because you should do unto others what they would have you do unto them. And that's how we cut out conflict. What is it that you need from me? Because, like Benet said, if I am a acts of service person and you're just over here complimenting me and giving me words of affirmation all day, you are not doing anything for me.
Mhm.
Vice versa, if you are the type of person that needs quality time, but I'm an acts of service person, woman, and I'm out there giving to the whole wide world, and you're at home suffering because you need me to be by your side, I might think I'm a good woman because
Mhm.
I'm giving what my love language is, right? I'm giving that thing. I'm a great woman. I'm serving everybody. I'm so feminine.
Mhm.
But your man is at home and all he needed you to do was come home and make a meal with him and sit down, eat, and talk. That's all he needed. But you missed it because you
Mhm.
know how to give what that person needs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And I'll go
go
ahead.
ahead. Man.
I just wanted to piggyback on that. So, and I agree totally, sis, with your message. I still think it is, and I like the word, doing to others as you want done unto you. I still like that because do unto others as you want them to do unto you to me means I want somebody to study me. So I am going to study you. So if you study me and I'm studying you, I ain't got to step me because you got me and I got you, right? So
Yeah, that's good. That's
you know what
good.
I mean? So
Absolutely.
it is that's the trust fall. And a lot of people got a problem with the trust fall, right? They don't trust that they can fall back and this person got them because they studied them. But if you studied this man or this woman, you know that this man got enough strength to carry 200 pounds of you, right? So you can fall back. You studied this woman that she can handle your damaged heart or your trust issues, your mama issues, she got you. Don't worry. Black man, you could cry around this woman. Black man, you could tell her some of your things, right? And she's not going embarrass you in front of your boys, or she not, you know what I mean? It's like, I want you to do unto me as I do unto you. I forgive you 100 times, forgive me 100 times, or you know what I mean? But that's when we start getting down to the tit for tat if we're not careful, if we don't have the principles of from me, the Bible 777 times. I didn't say just for men or women, that's for all of us. So I have to have a forgiving or understanding spirit. I may not like it, right? I may be like Jesus sometimes and flipping some tables. No, just joking. Don't do that. Right, right.
I see you
Don't.
flip a table. Don't know. You ain't joking. Nah.
Yeah, no, I no, nobody could ever say that I've done that. But those are the times you want to do that. But if you do unto others as you want done, meaning I'm gonna study you, you study me, that means I don't have that we are in agreement that you got me and I got you. But we there right now we can create these memories. Now we can go build and we can really know that I have a true partner because I know this, like that and I think we can't get past that part.
I can dig it. I can dig it.
That too. I love that perspective too.
Yeah.
For real, for real. Mr. Jarvis, you got anything?
Nah, man. I think this was a good build right here. I think this was a really good build. Um, I think it flowed perfectly. Forgive me for my battery dying. I thought I had it on the charger. Thought it was going to be everything was going to be smooth, but I already know how, how the team roll. It's going to be smooth. Even if I'm not there,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
conversation
We're
and the
gonna just
flow
pick
is
it
still
up.
going. I
Hey, if
already
you
knew.
drop the ball, we're gonna pick
I
it up.
already knew.
Yeah,
I already knew. As soon as I
yeah,
came back on, you was still, quarterback of the play. So that's a beautiful thing, man. Anybody else have anything to touch on before we get up out of here?
Or any
I
last thing
do.
to add?
I do. To your point, Brian, when Antoine, you were gone, he was when he said he was getting ready to disagree with you in the fake femininity part. And he said that women, he doesn't believe that there's fake femininity, that women don't know how to utilize their femininity, right? So, but you guys came to the same agreement.
Yeah.
I want to say, I wish that somebody would have told me that when I was younger. I was feminine to the limited understanding that I had, right? Um, I did not know how to use my essence. And I will give it up. Not only did God help, right? But God sent men in my life that showed me what that feminine essence looks like, right? I could listen to Ashley and say, girl, let's go out and let's get us something sexy, right? Let's get us a freakum dress or whatever the case may be, right? And Ashley may tell me that this fits my curves in all the right places or whatever, so I go home and wear that for my dude, or I go out and he think that look trashy. He rather see me in royal colors, or he may rather see me in longer skirts or things like that, right? And I'm out here thinking I'm feminine because the femininity is coming from a feminine source, and I had it wrong, right? Um, and no disrespect to anybody, or anything like that. But for me, the men in my life helped shape that part. they showed me that I do look good covered up, right? I
Mhm.
could wear a sweater and still kill the game. I don't have to have nothing shown or expressed, right? Like you said, it's the essence of me that will walk by him, and he will be looking at me before he looks at Big Booty Judy, right? There's something else about her, right? And so, to my sisters out there, do not be discouraged that you seem like you're not getting it right. You will find one if you get with God. God's going to help you, but also pay attention to the men that are in your life. If all the men in your life said you too loud, says turn it down. If if they all are saying these things, or like we were talking about, taking that feedback, take that feedback and really look at it, right? Why are you afraid to put on a dress that's down to your knees? What does that say? That you can't, you know what I mean? Like, what is that? What's wrong with that? Have you ever looked at yourself in that way? Right. So we need each other. And I'm so grateful for those men in my life that help shape and mold me, because we need y'all. We need y'all to teach us. So, fellas, don't necessarily just run away from teaching. I know you guys have some men have a thing about, if it ain't mine and this, that, the third, but do unto others as you want done unto you, right? As I show up, you may not be my husband, but I'm still going to love you and give you the things that I know that you need in our interactions. And as men, we need y'all. We need you guys to direct us, right? And women, we need to listen, but we need y'all to tell us the truth sometimes, right? Like, for
At
real, for
all
real.
times.
Right? At really, at all times, right?
Yeah, at all times.
Not
At all
sometimes.
times.
Yeah, at all times.
I stand corrected, right? You know what I mean? At all times, because if not, we're left to maybe this illusion within
Yeah.
ourselves, right? And now we're disillusioned, and now we're thinking this, that, and the third. So, um, if you see a sister struggling, or she's been hurt, or she's a little damaged, I'm not saying that you gotta, take her in and nurse her all the way back to health, but give her some game. You don't know how important that is to pass it and break that chain, if that makes sense.
I just
So,
want to say something real quick. Actually, I'm past you. I just want to respond to that. I hear you on the giving the game, but you got to remember, a lame don't know how to receive game. And I ain't talking about a lame person. A lame is an
yeah.
injured person.
Oh yeah, of course. But even if you give the game, even if it's on clay soil, one day it's going to rain, right? And what you said is going to take root, and they will say, you know
Hopefully.
what? I remember when Brian did say this, you know what I mean? And so go ahead and spread that seed anyways. One day it is going to rain, and there will be fruit that you may not ever experience, but just have faith and know that that person, it will rain. Or if it doesn't, hey, you did your job, right? You did your part to say, hey, I spread that seed. I wasn't selfish. I didn't withhold that information. I gave. It was on that person to, or the divine for it to rain, but you still did your part.
I just want
Yeah,
to
I know where you're
respond to that
going.
one more. Ashley, I'm gonna give it to you. Let me just respond to that one more time.
Yeah.
I hear you, but the thing is, sometimes if you give information to a person that's injured, sometimes what they do is they actually take that information and use it for nefarious purposes.
Yeah,
So, so that's
Discernment is
you got to use
important.
your discernment to see who you give the information to, because everybody isn't worthy of the information.
That's facts.
yeah.
Nor does everybody open to that information.
Absolutely, like you being really religious based. If
You
you know it's a devil worshiper, you're not about to really say about, because you know what their mind is at. You know they aren't they're in a whole different atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I'm saying. That's the only thing I'm saying there. And it's the exception, not the rule. What you're
Of
saying
course.
is definitely the rule. I'm just speaking on the exception.
Hmm.
Yep. And then my final piggyback, and I won't say nothing else about that, is still, even if you're talking to the devil, you show up as the light, right? And your light is always a seed. You are always a seed. And when I say that, the seed is it can be a testament. Doesn't necessarily mean it's like proof, right? Whether people acknowledge the truth, because that's what happens if somebody doesn't, if I'm talking to the devil and the devil doesn't receive it, then I start to, or people start to think that there's something wrong and you dim your light. No, you just be you, do what you do, and we'll see when this world is over. We'll see, right?
Right, but see now that you brought that in, Ashley, I'm sorry, but I got to say this because Jesus cast the devil out. Don't
He
forget.
did, but he had a conversation with him.
But when the devil just offered him, things, Jesus taught. But the moment that the devil said, "You got to worship me,"
oh yeah, for
get
sure.
out of here, buddy.
Yeah,
Get out of here.
I'm not saying that you got to stay in something, but I'm saying that proves my point. Jesus was who he was, regardless of the influence, right? And the seed may not be for the devil, so to speak, but those that are after that see, like, okay, you stand in your light, you stand in your power, and this is how you do this up to this point, right? Like you're always on. So I agree that discernment is important.
Yeah, that's my whole point. You got to have discernment.
Yeah. Discernment is important, because then you could be led down a certain way. But what I was saying is a lot of times people just don't. They give in to the darkness, right? That's part of the discernment, and then they start believing that. Stay true to what you know. Be discerning about that, but don't just not give. We are the salt of the earth. We are the ones that bring light and bring truth, and that's what you have to stand in every day, all day, regardless of the darkness.
Solid. All right, Ashley, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sorry, sis. Love you, girl.
I was like hopscotching internally. Like Tom said.
Hey.
Right, she got it right. We are the light. We're the light. We're the salt. But what I will say is that even scripture tells us that everybody is not going to make it. And we can't die on the hill trying to save everybody. But I like what you said. Still show up and be true to you. Okay. So going back to your first point about men needing to or should speak up when they see a woman that isn't on the right track, or don't give up on her. I want to extend that challenge to women. There are not enough women holding women accountable, and I think that it is very, very important.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
Conversation as women. And so my message is to the women. And I'm a woman's woman. I love my sisters, my aunties, my mothers. I never meet a girl that I don't just try to connect with or naturally connect with, right? Know this, ladies. When you meet a soul that really is trying to live righteous, is trying to encourage you to be your best self, accept the feedback. I go back to that. No, you don't. Everything is not designed to hurt you or harm you. So know the difference, discern the difference. Okay. So understand that if someone is coming to you in correction and letting you know where you are wrong, when it's coming in love, and accept it. And I think that men need to do the same thing, but with men. Women are responsible for ourselves, just like our elders, our grandmothers, and the matriarchs. They really made sure that we were on point. We had to wake up in the morning and clean the whole house. We had to learn how to cook by age 7, do laundry, iron clothes. We were taking care of our little siblings. I understand that men did too, but more so women. And so if that is how we were taught, why does that stop when we become adults? Even if we don't have children, we still influence little girls that see us every day. Our nieces, our cousins, young girls that we work with, even walking down the street at the grocery store. It be a situation that you can lean into and help out. Do it in love and do it subtly, like Antoine mentioned, in that feminine energy. And I would just say, don't be afraid to stand in your truth. a lot of times today as women, we stay quiet because we are called all sorts of names,
Mm-hmm.
whether if it be from women who don't understand what it is to be feminine, and be submissive and walk in servitude, or if it be from men that tell us that we're not good enough. We always criticize, or we're self-critical of ourselves. And so what I
Mm-hmm.
would just say is know thyself, heal thyself, and
Yeah.
that you can give the best version of yourself, and influence the atmosphere around you. Until you do those things first, everything around you will die, woman, black woman,
Mm-hmm.
because you are powerful. And so that's really what I want to say. That's pretty much what I have for that.
Solid, solid. So there was just one thing you said. I would like to have a little conversation with. Where you said that men do too, but women more so.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear the word more so, I hear the word more,
Mm-hmm.
which is saying that women are doing more than men. And I always take issue with that because I, I when I think about it from the perspective of how we envision action,
Mm-hmm.
of course you're going to highlight what you do, but you're not putting the same light on what a man does. And when you minimize it, because like I'm not doing what you're doing, but that doesn't mean that what I'm doing is lesser than.
Right.
Because when you say more so, then that means that I'm lesser than.
In the
So I'm less so. If you're
we
more so, I'm less so.
about
So yeah, let me finish my thought. That means I'm less so. So, but fathers, men, we provide tremendous value when it comes to the nurturing part of it as well. We just do it in a different way. I would say women are the soil, but men are the rain. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Without us, it's barren.
Mm-hmm.
You have bad outcomes. You have
Mm-hmm.
famine. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that's what I've seen in families. When man is taken out, that family is a lot of times can live a life of poverty. You know what I'm saying? I think the
Mm-hmm.
statistics call that
Mm-hmm.
out. So let's try to just value what we do on our planes without minimizing the other.
I think that it's easy to say that on both sides because in this conversation or in these conversations, it is said that men are more so the providers and more so the protectors. I'm only speaking to our role and
Okay.
where we are naturally. And naturally, women are going to take care of the home. And that's all I was speaking to.
Yeah,
Right.
and I want to
But there's
piggyback
no
on
home
that.
without.
Well, yeah, and there is no home without you. But how I actually took that is that like when me and Ashley, I think this is our first time. Do we see each other on face to face on the in the group, or I don't think so.
No, no, we haven't.
No, but we've had interactions before, right? And we were more kindred, right? And then maybe some of the others. But with that being said, it's um women like Ashley and I have to do more when we're at the brunch and our our sisters or kiki kin about cheating on their husbands and what they doing or whatever the case may be. We have to be comfortable in our skin to say, sis, now you're wrong. You know what I mean? That's how I looked at it, coming from what she was saying, that we have to hold each other accountable more to be in our feminine essence, and say, instead of saying, okay girl, if you do the guac 3000, this is how you get the bag. No, that's not how you get the bag. How you that is an important part, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's not that, but that's not the
It's
part.
definitely important.
Right, right, you know
Hey, definitely important.
what I'm saying? But there are, in order to be able to do that, there's some things that you're gonna have to do, sis. And a lot of times, again, we can feed the rhetoric amongst ourselves. And now there's a pandemic of I'm not about to do this. You can't take me here. You know, whatever, because me and my sisters, and we gonna stand in agreement, and this is that and the third. And it's like, no. And sometimes women like us, we're not popular, right? And it don't always feel good to be the only one that does that. Now I'm not going to the brunch, right? And you know, or it's always a conflict. So I can appreciate a woman like Ashley and I, that we got to encourage each other. Sis, don't be quiet, and do it with, you know, with you and your family and your community. When you see it, pull little baby girl, you know, that's out there, you know, yelling at her boyfriend, you know, keying up his car and shit, and you know, she's 21 years old because she's angry. Pull baby girl to the side and say, sis, this is not this not good. Look, you know, we have to step up more. So that's how I've received it, you know, woman to woman.
I got you. I got you. So, and that leads to the last thing I was going to say for the remaining of the day is when, you know, when we were talking about, you know, the information that people are utilizing, information that they're receiving. One of the biggest things that, you know, women calling themselves good women, you know, when they're talking to each other, you know, we gotta be aware of confirmation bias. Stop just accepting things that already align with what you think.
Right. Oh, girl, you need 14,000 to get that bag, though. Let me go ahead and do that. No.
Yeah.
That part.
Yep. So, but I had a wonderful time on this conversation. I hope we can do this again soon. Please, everybody, stand by as I end the stream. And world, have a wonderful rest of your
Peace to the
day,
guys.
evening, or morning.
Bye.